Hi everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Gadget Lab. I am Michael Calori.
I'm Christina Bonington.
Coming up this week, we've got some news from Microsoft, some news from Apple. We have a very cool device to show you. It's called the Midi Fighter 3D. It's sort of like a live performance controller for electronic musicians who use software on their laptop. And then at the end of the show, John Bradley is going to bring on the Litro camera. It's a camera that lets you take a picture and then focus it later using software on your computer.
Ooh, I can't wait to check that out.
It's very cool. First though, we have a little bit of tidbit of news coming from Apple next week, right?
Yes, they sent out invites for a product event next Wednesday here in San Francisco, 10 a.m. And it looks like it's going to be an iPad event.
So it's definitely a touchscreen device.
Yes, the image has a picture of what looks like it could be an iPad in a large hand. So it's either going to be like an iPad or a large hand event.
So the smart money's probably on the iPad 3, I would bet, at this point. And what do we know about it so far? We know that it's going to have a better display.
Yes, it's supposed to have a Retina display.
And nothing else.
Yeah, improved processor, different camera, maybe it's going to be slightly thicker. Those are kind of the main points.
There's also speculation that Microsoft is going to show off some software on it, possibly Office or Outlook.
Yep, yeah, some people were thinking that we could be seeing Microsoft Office for iPad.
Cool. Well, one thing that we definitely did see this week in advance of anything Microsoft may or may not be announcing next week was a really nice new version of Windows 8.
Yes, the consumer preview build of Windows 8. It's been available as a developer preview since September of last year.
Was it you like blipped?
Yeah, but so this is what anyone can download.
Your robotic speech circuits aren't operating properly.
This is why I sit behind a computer all day. Yeah, but so anyone can download it. It's free, and it's pretty great. It is basically a beta build, so there's some quirks, blue screens of death every now and then, but
that's to be expected with pre-release software, though.
Yeah.
Now, what you've got is a tablet, and
yes.
What you tested, is this for tablets and for laptops and for desktops?
It is. So Windows 8 is designed for tablets, all-in-ones, desktops, notebooks.
But not phones.
Not phones,
right.
But it does share Windows 7's Metro interface.
That's
so
the tile things that flip around and let you like surf Facebook and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you've got these live tiles. They show information like the mail icon will show your most recent email, then your calendar shows what's next on your calendar. It's pretty convenient. I like that. I like it kind of better than iOS's just kind of static little icons that don't show you anything.
Yeah, so instead of like diving into apps, like is the paradigm now, the apps come to you, much like what we see on other smartphones like Android, right, with the widgets on the desktop and things like that.
Yeah, except it's all styled very nicely. It fits together in these little rectangles. It's very pleasing to the eye, and it's a totally different desktop experience, you know. Instead of having, you know, the taskbar along the bottom or the top, having, you know, you can store your files, folders, programs on the desktop, you've just got this live tile display. It's pretty cool. I thought operating it with a mouse might be weird, but it was actually pretty natural. It's just a completely different experience.
So by that comment, do you mean that it's more for touch? It's more based on like sort of touch interactions and the touch paradigm?
Yeah, so these icons are big. They're touchable. All of the Metro interface is designed for touch. But you can just as easily use a keyboard and mouse to operate around.
Very cool. Well, you can read Christina's entire walkthrough, which is quite lengthy and detailed and informative and full of all kinds of wonderful information, and screenshots on the Gadget Lab blog at wired.com/gadgetlab. All right, let's go to an interview that we conducted a little while ago with Ian Golden from DJ TechTools about his Midi Fighter 3D controller. We're here today with Ian Golden from DJ TechTools, and he has brought a new device to show us. It is the Midi Fighter 3D.
Yep, this is the new Midi Fighter 3D. It's a controller that we're announcing pretty much right now, And what's cool about the 3D is that it allows you to control things using the controller in 3D space.
Now this is for people who do live performance electronic music using software, right?
That's correct.
So what software does it tie into?
Any software that supports MIDI. So some popular ones might be Ableton, Tractor, Live, even GarageBand.
So it's like for DJs and people doing performances, and it allows them to what? Add effects, mix tracks, trigger drum samples. What do they use it for mostly?
So there's 16 high performance triggers. These are original arcade buttons, the same kind of arcade buttons that you found on Tekken and Street Fighter. So
very cool.
It'll last a lifetime. And then we wanted to bring in some really intuitive analog expression. So if you pick it up, you can start to use it to control whatever you want by just moving the device, rotating it, tilting it left, tilting it forward.
So you got an accelerometer in there, a gyroscope?
Both, accelerometer, gyroscope, and a compass.
Does it have GPS?
And GPS. It's got everything. It tells you exactly where it is in space, giving you really, really absolute control. You know, previously you might have used something like a fader or a knob to do these kinds of analog expressions, but when you have something that's weighted in your hand and you can really feel its movement and combine several axes at the same time, it gets really expressive.
That's very cool. So like this thing that you just touched over here, this is like a traditional sort of live performance / DJ controller that I would use for software, and this is obviously much bigger than what you guys have come up with.
Yeah, exactly. This is a new controller that also just came out. This is the VCI 400 Ian Golden Edition, something that I designed with Vestax.
Oh wow.
And this is the format that you're typically seeing right now. It basically is the turntable mixer paradigm, you know, 2 turntables and a mixer and a microphone.
Yep, and a lot of trigger buttons.
And a lot of buttons. So it's just condensed into a smaller format. You've got one song over here, one song over here, and then you're mixing the various sources in the center. And this is great for mixing. The problem is, as you notice, there's a lot of buttons. So what we have tried to do with the Midi Fighter series is condense a lot of this functionality into a small, very intuitive format where you don't need labels, you just kind of understand intuitively what the instrument does. And
it's also kind of cool because like you keep using the word instrument, and it really does turn the traditional controller into an instrument.
Yeah.
Like especially with all the tilting and how you can fire different effects and, you know, trigger different samples and things by pressing the buttons.
Yeah.
It's like you can really get into it. You can stand up and play, and people can actually watch you.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is with new software, there's all these parameters and all these ways in which you can interact with the music. And so what we were lacking in the hardware world was actually an intuitive and expressive way of accessing that stuff. You can literally get in and really participate in the music, remixing it, affecting it, chopping it up, all on the fly. And what we do at DJ TechTools is design interfaces that allow you to kind of tap into that world without getting lost in the computer.
That's very cool. And you make them here in San Francisco, right?
We do, we do. This is actually a device that we were building today. So you go on the website, this is the first Midi Fighter, and they can customize what color buttons they want, what color top, what color case. We build it for them by hand, one by one, and then each of them comes with a little certificate of authenticity. And we've been making these for a couple years. They're super popular, and now this is the new bigger brother that adds this analog expression.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And so this is fully programmable, so no matter what type of musician I am and no matter what type of software I'm using, I can program this to incorporate any aspect of my performance, right?
Yes, yes. The idea is that it's a template, and you should be able to create whatever you imagine. So maybe you might map this to one particular thing and this to another, and it just really depends on how you want to express yourself.
That's great.
Yeah.
So how much are they going to cost, and when can we buy them?
So it's going to cost $249, and they're going to ship at the end of March.
That's great.
DJTechTools.com.
Thanks to Ian for coming by and showing us the Midi Fighter 3D.
Nice. Thanks for having me, Michael.
All right, we're joined now by John Bradley. Hi, John.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm good, but I'm curious, what is that giant butter stick-sized thing you have there?
This is the butter of the future. No, it's this is the Litro light field camera that everybody's been talking about for months. It's finally launching on the market today. Well, they're shipping it to the people who had the foresight to order it back in November, December. They're back ordered quite a bit, so you can't actually run out and buy one of these today, but if you ordered one, it's in the mail and it will be to you in a matter of days.
So I know everyone's been talking about it, but what is so special about it?
It's a unique take on photography. This takes what's called the light field. So if you think of a normal photograph as two-dimensional, which obviously it is, it's actually taking a photo of a plane in space, and that's what you've focused on. Everything else in front of that or behind that is blurry. This captures the entire, called light field, and what you can do is go in and refocus after the fact. So in effect, you can't take an out of focus picture. You just take the picture right away without even focusing or anything, and afterwards you go in and choose where you want it to focus, and that's not static. Anybody else can look at it and decide to focus somewhere else. Keep playing around with it. So a picture is never really finished.
So I can choose my focus on camera?
On the well, you can choose a focus on the camera, or you can just snap away and choose your focus afterwards. But either way,
no, I mean after I've taken a picture, is there a screen on there I can look at?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a little. It's too small, unfortunately, and not a very high resolution. I think it's 128 pixels across, and you can see the dots here. And focus is such a fine-tuned feature of these photos that the screen kind of underserves that. But yeah, you can go in afterwards and play around with the photos here. It's a lot more fun to load them onto your desktop or put them on Facebook or something and let other people play around with them. So
it runs special software on your desktop, so you plug it in and you edit the photos on your desktop, right?
Well, you don't really edit them. There's not a lot of editing capability right now. You take the photo, you download it to the desktop, and then their desktop utility is really simple. You just plug your camera in, it automatically rips all the photos off, and then you can choose to share them to Facebook, Twitter, wherever. And the neat thing is the software that enables all that refocusing after the fact travels with the photo.
Oh, cool.
So you just put it on Facebook, and anybody who has Flash enabled on their computer can look at your photos on Facebook and refocus it to their heart's content. So it's, I think of it less as capturing a moment than creating kind of a user experience. People can go in and, it's kind of like choose your own ending as a photo. So
it's like a lot more social than just sharing a photo. You're sharing a photo and letting your friends take their hand in editing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, any photo is ostensibly kind of social. You want to share that with people. But here, you don't just show people what you took. You kind of share it with people and let them create their own experience with the photo, which is a unique take on things.
That's very cool.
It's pretty neat.
Well, you can read John's full review of the Litro on the product reviews website, wired.com/reviews, and we'll be back next week with everything that we can tell you about whatever it is that Apple may or may not be announcing next week. Plus, I'm sure on March 7th.
I didn't know that.
You didn't watch the beginning of the show. Anyway, we'll be back next week with Apple news and other cool gadgets to show you from the Gadget Lab. See you then.